Um.
Hello, Charlie.
Oh, I actually made it on time. Cool.
Yeah, we did. And welcome to CNC Talks Live, everybody. To the basically no one that's here, probably. But
Yeah, we should wait till we get some viewers to start this.
yeah. Well,
I
we'll
I
wait
just
another
sent
minute or two before
a
we get
shameless
started.
plug to some of my associates, shall I say?
Yeah, but long story short, Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, of course.
Rigged.
There's debate over whether that holding penalty was legitimate. Charlie, I assume you think that the answer is no.
Oh no, absolutely not. Especially considering 2 minutes left in a Super Bowl. I see calling that in like a week 2 game, but considering this is the biggest moment of the season, biggest moment in the biggest game, why would you ever call that on a play that shouldn't even been called in the first place?
Yeah, and I mean we'll get to all that in a couple minutes when we really start in earnest. Were you rooting for the Eagles?
I didn't care who won the Super Bowl. I just care that it's fair and accurate.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I do have a somewhat different take on that entire situation with a couple minutes left. Obviously, for most of the game, just a really, really great game overall. And I mean, I don't doubt that the NFL is rigged in many ways. I'm not entirely sure whether it showed up here, but yeah, there's a lot to get into. You ready to start, Charlie?
I think so.
All right, so yeah, again, just everybody, welcome to CNC Talks Live. We are going to be recapping the Super Bowl, everything from the game and whether we agree with who won Super Bowl MVP. We'll talk about get to all the playing surface issues. Talk about the pregame festivities and the halftime show. We'll talk somewhat about the commercials. We'll recap NFL honors, all the awards that were given out Thursday night, and we'll give you a way too early preview of next NFL season, the 2023 season that will culminate in Super Bowl 58 in, I believe, Vegas is where next year's Super Bowl is, Charlie.
Yes, you would be correct.
Yeah, but before we get into that, of course, make sure to follow us everywhere. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're youtube.com at CC Talks. On Twitter, we're at CC Talks Podcast. You can give us a call to leave some questions at 360-389-2630. Plenty of places to reach us, so make sure that you contact us. We're on whatever platform you're on. Yeah, let's get into it. Again, the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Philadelphia Eagles in what was really a great Super Bowl for much of the game, Charlie.
Yeah, it
Just,
was a
just
great
your
game. Both teams
initial
played really
reactions.
well. The Chiefs defense really stepped up. Yeah, really great game. The Chiefs really turned it up in the second half, made it really close. It's just a shame the way it ended, considering with that how much controversy there was.
Yeah, I mean, in the first half, I mean, let's start with the first half. The Eagles just looked like the far superior team, Charlie. Like not even close.
Oh yeah, they definitely did. But that also brings up the fact that the Chiefs really were lucky to be in the Super Bowl to begin with.
Well, with the Bengals game, yeah, and I mean, who knows also what would have happened with the Eagles if Brock Purdy had gotten injured. I still think that the Eagles probably would have made it to the Super Bowl, but you never know. It was a close game when he had to leave the game because of that injury. So who knows? There's a whole ton of alternate realities, but ultimately, the Eagles just a great first half. Honestly, Charlie, the Chiefs were lucky to be going into the locker room
Only down
24,
10.
24 to 14, only down 10. And um, I mean, yes, they did miss that field goal, but also the there was that fumble. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
that was really the start of the turning point, wasn't it?
I mean, I don't like if the Chiefs hadn't gotten that fumble, which was changed the games in so many ways. It went from it potentially being a 14-point game early to being tied up early. And yeah, just who knows what would have happened if that had not been the case. But and then of course Patrick Mahomes getting injured late in the second half, and Charlie again, the Chiefs were really lucky in that particular instance that that was their final play of the first half. They were also very lucky that it was the Super Bowl and there was a halftime show, which meant that halftime was more than twice the normal length. So Mahomes had some time to rest that and was ready to go in the second half.
Yeah, but also through the controversy, Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs just soldiered through 2 injuries to his leg. Just incredible.
And I mean, he was very mobile in the second half. I mean, it looked like he was definitely wincing when he ran. There was a time when he basically got tracked down by a defensive lineman. Then I'm sure that that would have not happened if he had been fully healthy. But still, quite impressive what Mahomes was able to do in the second half on that injured leg. And Charlie, I have a stat for you on Mahomes, and we'll get into whether he should have been Super Bowl MVP in a minute. But I have a stat to give you about Mahomes. When trailing by double digits in the postseason, he's 4-2. With
Wow.
with 2 of those wins being in the Super Bowl.
That is
That
impressive.
that's absurd. Like it's not just impressive; it's absurd.
Yeah.
Right? No one's ever done that. I mean, he is just really good. And I mean, also let's look back to the start of the season. I mean, Travis Kelce touched on it in the post game show, um, a lot. Um, but no one really did think that they were going to win this year. I mean, it was hard to say that they were out of it, but I mean, people were saying that this is the Chargers year to win that division. They've got an exciting new quarterback. Chiefs maybe stepping back a little bit. I mean, they just traded away Tyreek Hill, and ultimately it was the Chiefs proving everyone wrong, and they were just the superior team in the AFC this season. They were they fully I don't know if they were the best team in the regular season, but like you could make an argument to me that yeah, the Chiefs just were very much the best team in the National Football League.
Yeah, no doubt. They were definitely the best team in the AFC, and as it turns out, according to this game, the best team in the league as well.
Yeah, let's get in now to the call, which turned a really great game into a less of a great game. What did you think about that holding call?
It isn't just a singular instance, I'll say that. It's the fact that if we look at 3 games in a row, um, KC got really lucky to beat Jacksonville, but that was really Jacksonville's own fault. They had a couple of really bad interceptions and then that Agnew fumble, which was just
Yeah.
abysmal.
Yep. Fair.
And then the Bengals game, which is the start of the concerns because the
The
foul
officiating
calls in
was a
that
disaster.
officiating was disaster.
Not just a disaster, like outright stuff needs to get changed. And then let's also, Charlie, really quickly, I'll let you continue in a minute. You heard what Roger Goodell said earlier this week? He said
Yes, I did.
our officiating is as good as it's ever been. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's somehow worse.
Oh, yeah, no, it's getting worse.
Yeah,
Like a lot worse.
and then this call today. I
Yeah.
mean, of there's a lot of people saying the NFL are scripted, that the NFL is rigged. I don't truly believe that, but I do feel that we probably should be checking out something with the refs just in case there was something going on, because it does seem odd that this keeps happening.
Yeah, no, that is fair. I'll say this to preface my comments on this, which is that Charlie, you should be able to agree with me on this. The refs, for the most part in the Super Bowl today, did a pretty good job. For the most part.
For the most part, yes, they were pretty good.
They were pretty accurate for most of the game. Now as to the holding call. It was borderline. It was, I would argue, probably a holding call. If you ask the defender, whose name escapes me at the moment, Bradford maybe?
I don't remember.
I believe it's Bradford. If you ask the defender, he will say that he thinks it was probably the right call. But it was close. It could have gone either way. I probably would have said, yeah, that's defensive holding. But here's the problem I have with all the arguments for, like, I get calling that in week 1 in like the first quarter of a week 1 game. Why does it matter? I mean, obviously the stakes are completely different, but ultimately, if it's a fine call then, it's a fine call now. It shouldn't matter the circumstance. Those are the rules of football, and they're not supposed to be uh, adjudicated based on the situation. They're supposed to be adjudicated based on whether it was a foul or not.
The key word there is supposed to. Refs are human. They have even if they're not supposed to, a very small amount of bias. They want to make the games close because that's what the NFL needs. And also, I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose. I'm just
That
saying that
call hurt
happens
the
to be
game
how the
being
sport
close.
works.
That call hurt the game being close, Charlie. The game would have
Exactly.
been closer. It would have been more exciting if they hadn't called that. So,
Well, yeah, the call objectively did kind of ruin the game, but as I said, there is also often some very small amount of bias to try to improve the game, and I just
yes.
don't think they did this properly.
Can I also say though, really quickly, I'm glad, even with the new postseason overtime rules, football overtime rules are still stupid, and I'm very glad that this wasn't decided by a sketchy overtime.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I will also finish what I was saying earlier by saying I do think that if this game, even without the holding call, the Chiefs probably would have won.
Yeah,
And
probably
I
in the end.
think
I mean,
and I think
they
both
had the momentum.
and I think both the Chiefs and the Eagles are definitely deserving champions. I think either way, even if the game, either way, that holding call was borderline. I think both teams um, really deserved equally to win that championship. I don't really have it aside either way. I'm just suggesting the fact that I don't like the way the game ended. I think both teams should have had a chance to win. But all I will say is I like the result, but I just want it to end as fair as possible.
Yeah, no, fair. Let's talk a little bit about the field conditions for the game, Charlie, because heard the NFL hyping them up beforehand. This is what they said on it. They said basically that it's the best field conditions. Like the turf is the best that it's ever been for any NFL game ever. And there's it's kind of crazy. They spent $800,000 on the turf and 2 years prepping the grass. It was grown at a local sod farm in Phoenix. This is per Joe Pompliano on Twitter. It was grown at a local sod farm in Phoenix. It was installed 2 weeks ago. The field has been rolled out every morning for daily sunshine. Cost $800,000. It was, in fact, just absolutely terrible grass, Charlie.
Yeah, players slipping all over the place. Yes, this was definitely not great field conditions.
Yeah, I believe that Philly's kicker twisted his ankle on a kickoff. When do you ever see that?
Yeah.
No, not good grass, and just not up to the quality of any NFL game, yet alone a Super Bowl. So, NFL has some work to do.
Oh, no, definitely.
And I mean, also Vegas's stadium, very similar setup. So we'll see what it's like next year.
Yeah, hopefully they can improve it before next season.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about the festivities surrounding the Super Bowl. Actually, no. Before we do that, let's talk about was should Patrick Mahomes have won Super Bowl MVP? I feel like the answer is pretty clearly yes, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh yeah, no, undoubtedly. He
Yeah,
did
I
he
mean,
did definitely get a lot of help from his defense, but I think Mahomes definitely does deserve that Super Bowl MVP.
yeah, I mean, what other single player would you give it to, if not Mahomes?
I mean, I guess Kelsey maybe, but other than
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
no. Mahomes was the
maybe.
only player you could give it to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's really a debate. But yeah, let's talk about some of the festivities surrounding Super Bowl. There was, of course, all those pregame festivities, some kind of cool moments pregame. What did you think about all those festivities before the game?
I actually got back to my house right as the game started, and I missed halftime, so I'm gonna have you take this segment.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that it was good, good for a Super Bowl. Maybe not. Some of the singers, Cheryl Lee Ralph, who sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which I think is a really good addition to the lineup of songs that they play before the Super Bowl, despite it completely pissing off the far right. I think that's a good addition. Cheryl Lee Ralph did a great job singing that one. The America the Beautiful singer did a less great job. Chris Stapleton on the national anthem did, I think, a pretty good job. It was a cool tribute for the people that did the coin toss. Just all around, I think that they did a pretty good job, and I think that it's the sort of thing that the NFL is pretty good at, Charlie.
Yeah, I agree. And also, really quickly, going back to what you were talking about earlier about MVP, I mean, we got to talk about Nick Bolton. What a game he had.
Who?
Nick Bolton.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he was the one who turned it around right there.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, good. It was just a great team effort by the Chiefs, but I think that Mahomes is still just far and away the most deserving. And um, real quick, well, we'll get into the halftime show in just a minute, but real quick, what does it mean for Mahomes' legacy, Charlie? Because I mean, he's already got to be up. He's 27, but he's won 2 Super Bowls, and yet it still feels like he's underrated in so many ways. Like there's people questioning his ability basically every single day. I'm sure that Skip Bayless will go on his show tomorrow and question it even further. But I mean, I think it's just becoming increasingly difficult to deny that Patrick Mahomes is among the all-time greats in football, even in what is this, his 5th full year in the league.
All I can say is we just one of the all-time greats, if not the all-time great of the sport, just left,
The
and the
all-time
next
great.
one is already here.
Next one is already. I don't know if Mahomes. Well, actually, I'm quite sure that Mahomes will not get to 7 Super Bowl rings because that's just absurd.
I mean, look at their team though.
Yeah. No, and the scary thing is, like, there's an argument to be made, like that it's not as good of a team as it was last year. It was statistically better, but there's clearly ways that they could improve their team.
Yeah, and also considering the fact that they had a seventh round draft pick at running back, and they were banged up for some of the season, and the fact that they lost their best weapon on offense.
They still went 14-3.
Yeah, and
When
they
was the
still
last
have
time
most
they
of their
lost?
draft
Was
picks
it
for this year, if I'm not
October?
wrong.
What?
And they have all of their draft picks for next season, correct?
If not all of them, then definitely most of them. And you know the last time that they lost? I'm just checking this right now. It was against the Bengals on December 4th, but before that, it was against the Bills on October 16th. So they've had one loss in basically the last 4 months, Charlie.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, and then what does it mean for Andy Reid's legacy also? Because I have to feel like he's getting up there right now in the real conversation. I mean, he's not the greatest coach of all time, but he's right up there in the conversation. And there's rumors that he may be close to retiring. He may be thinking about it, but I still think that there's a very good chance that he'll be back next year. And I mean, I like his shots at winning a third Super Bowl.
I like his shots as well.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that? Like his legacy, just in general.
I mean, to win a Super Bowl as a coach, that's the goal right there, is to finally push your team over the top. And now that he's done that twice, I think that he can do it again, and I think he'll be seen as one of the best coaches of all time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get in more like near the end of our show. We'll talk about what could happen next year. I mean, it's way too early, really, to think about that, but we'll try. But yeah, there's if not the Chiefs next year, I mean, there's plenty of good candidates to come out of the AFC, but it's not like the Chiefs will, I think, enter as the favorites to do it again. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the halftime show. You said that you did not actually get a chance to watch Rihanna in the halftime show.
I did not.
Yeah, so I mean, her music was. I don't mind her music that much. I don't think that it's not really my style of music. It was it was not a bad show. The far right was suggesting that it was some satanic thing. It was not. It was not a bad show. I felt like it may have been slightly boring at times. The amount of moving around she did was actually kind of insane for somebody who is 9 months removed from giving birth and is apparently pregnant again. So quite impressive on that front. I think it ranks as at least one of the better halftime shows, at least recently. I mean, the first halftime show that I remember watching was Katy Perry's halftime show in Super Bowl 49, which was pretty good actually. Actually, that was a great halftime show.
Great Super
Coldplay
Bowl
also.
too.
What?
Great Super Bowl too.
Not for us Seahawks fans.
I mean, ignoring the last play of the game, it was a
Ignoring
great
the
Super
last
Bowl.
play of the game, it was a great Super Bowl.
And
But
also,
that
hey,
was
that
also
one
the
was in
last time that the
in
Super Bowl
that
was
one
in
was in Arizona
Arizona.
too.
Yeah, in Arizona. But and there were a few good halftime shows right around that time. Coldplay, I believe, did Super Bowl 50. Their show was pretty good.
I like the Weeknd's show in 2020.
Uh, really, I was not a fan of that show at
But
all.
admittedly, that was the first one I ever watched. So
Yeah, it was also it was hard on the weekend. That was during COVID. That's difficult. But other halftime shows, I mean, I thought Lady Gaga did a great job in Super Bowl 51. Was not a fan of either Maroon 5's or Justin Timberlake's halftime show in 52 and 53. And then Shakira and J Lo's show in 54 was it was good, just not my style. And I kind of felt the same way about last year's show with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and
I really
Em-
liked the last one.
Eminem and Mary J. Blige and Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, I mean, no, it was a good show. It was just like it is just not my style of music, you know. But I think that this was also. I feel like that's kind of the same sort of thing as right. They have not really played. They've not really had a lot of artists that I'm huge fans of. But I still think that they've, for the most part, they've been pretty good. The shows, despite just me not personally liking the artists, like the shows themselves, the production was good.
Yeah.
Um, Move on to something that was less good about the Super Bowl, which is commercials. And there's something that, for some reason, people always get excited about for the Super Bowl because, I mean, companies do invest a lot of money into them, Charlie. I was planning on doing a ranking of my top 5 favorite commercials for the Super Bowl,
Yeah, and they were.
but I couldn't watch any second half commercials because I just muted them because they
Oh,
were
they were
bad
so
this year.
bad.
They were bad this year, like straight up bad.
The only one that I still remember that I thought was at all funny was the Pepsi one.
The Pepsi one was sort of funny. The what was it? Was it Duncan, the one with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez? That was
That one
decent.
was good. That was the first one of the entire game.
Yeah, it was decent.
The Fast
Who
and
was it?
Furious one was okay.
Who was it? Was it E Trade that had that one with like child marriage that was just like creepy and awful?
Wait, that one was just weird.
It was just, yeah, again, creepy and awful. Um, a couple ones where they wanted you to scan a QR code,
I hate those QR code ones.
which you should not do. And the the first one that they wanted you to scan was like super sketchy. So
Oh, like the mobile game one?
it was that mobile game one, and yeah, that was sketchy.
Oh, 100%.
They I mean, I think that there's a couple things going on with these Super Bowl ads. I think first of all, some of the companies that have made top ads in the past just haven't necessarily been advertising at the Super Bowl anymore because they're kind of starting to realize that it might not actually be the best investment of their money.
Yeah,
Um,
and one of our editors just posted that he liked the peanut roast one.
oh yeah, that was good. Um, and yeah, there and also just even some companies that have done good ads in the past just maybe spending less money on their ads because they don't feel like it's worth it. And I don't know, they know that people are still going to watch Super Bowl ads. Honestly, though, Charlie, the best ad might have been the NFL's ad right after the halftime show.
Yeah, I agree. That one was
It
a
was
good one.
a great ad. It's kind of sad though when you're saying that the NFL's own ad was the best ad.
Yeah, good point. I mean, the other key thing about Super Bowl advertising is looking at Super Bowls. I mean, as an advertiser, or imagine if you're setting up an advertisement for the fourth quarter of a game where the Seahawks are winning by like 30 against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Everyone will have had the game turned off by then, so it's really a huge risk for not really that much reward. The hype really dies down after like a few weeks if you look at the trends.
Well, but you have to, you have to buy the ads well in advance. So
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying it's a risk because the
it's a
game could
risk,
be
yeah.
blowout and no one would see the ad.
Exactly. Now, with the Super Bowl, there's two things. There's a pretty sure bet that people are going to watch till the end, even if it's a blowout, unless it's that Rams Patriots game in Super Bowl
Oh, that was
53.
horrible.
Yeah. Um, and second, most people are actually probably not going to put the TV on mute for the commercials. Those are
I
like the two
mean,
things you can be sure of.
did you?
I did in the second half only
As did
after
I. So, I mean, we
every
just
ad
proved
was just
ourselves wrong there.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I it was it was like ads trying to be good but weren't. So like I guess they were more interesting than just a bunch of aerial shots of cars driving, but they weren't much better than that. Fox News had an ad for their show Gutfeld, which was very much trying to be funny but was not, which, as I heard somewhere, I thought was very on point. Ironically, that pretty much sums up the show Gutfeld, trying to be funny but not.
I can't comment on that because I haven't seen it.
Charlie, you don't want to.
Okay.
It's
That's good
it's
to know.
it's the rights trying to say like, yeah, we have comedians too, except Greg Gutfeld is not a comedian. I mean, he tries to be, but he is so painfully unfunny, and the problem is he doesn't realize that he's not funny, which makes it really sad to watch and just awkward.
We're just looking at this. Was the Downey one during the Super Bowl too with the guy who had like the Downey cannon?
I don't remember.
Because that one was kind of funny, I guess.
Uh, back, I remember, but it was like 3 years ago or so. There were a lot of really good Super Bowl ads, and then last year they were decent, but I felt like 55 was not great. This year was just not great at all. So Hopefully,
Yeah, they're getting worse.
they definitely getting worse. Hopefully, we'll have better ads next year. But like I said, I don't feel optimistic about that, mostly because I think that it's not just, oh, companies did a bad job this year. I think it's companies are intentionally not putting as much into this as they used to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
All right, move on away from the Super Bowl for now. We'll go back to it in a minute, but let's talk about the NFL honors, Charlie. A bunch of awards given out. But so, did you watch that show on Thursday night?
I did.
Yeah, so I think a really good show. It was nice to see the tribute that they had for Damar Hamlin. What did you think of
Yeah,
that?
that was really good. I'm really glad they did that.
Yeah, I mean, great. Let's get into some of the awards, though. The most valuable player was Patrick Mahomes, with Jalen Hurts as the runner-up. Right decision, wrong decision.
I think he was probably the most deserving. I would say Hurts was close, Burrow was close, but yeah, I think Mahomes should have won it, and he did.
Yeah, I I agree. Mahomes just like let's appreciate the greatness that there is there. Another big award was the Coach of the Year. That was given to Brian Dable, who finished slightly ahead of Kyle Shanahan. Also up there was Doug Peterson of the Jaguars, Sean McDermott of the Bills, and Nick Sirianni of the Eagles. What did you think of this award?
I definitely think this one was close. I do think they made the right call. What do you think?
There were a lot of deserving nominees. Dable was very deserving. I
I mean, you
wouldn't
could
have
even
been
throw
mad.
Pete Carroll in there.
I would not have been mad if it was given to either Shanahan or Doug Peterson or Nick Sirianni. Um, or can we just say Pete Carroll got completely snubbed of a nomination for that award?
He definitely did.
You realize that what he did is he not only basically made the decision to completely tear everything down, uh, go out and start someone who's been a second string quarterback for basically the last decade, start him as your quarterback, basically insert five rookies into your starting line, and like not only make that decision but get everyone in the locker room to buy into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what he did, and he really did get snubbed.
And then it worked.
Yeah, and they made the playoffs only to get chased immediately by the Niners. But
Now, do you know
I mean,
who should not have been a nominee for this award? Was Sean McDermott.
oh no, absolutely, he really, they should have won that Bengals game.
Yeah. He finished, I mean, I believe that the awards voting was completed before the playoffs. But he finished above Nick Sirianni. Do I need to
I
remind you how
don't
close of
understand
the
that
last
at
2
all.
years?
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Maybe it's just because they have a really good team and
It
that
might
they're just
be. There's some
consistently
bias there.
good. I mean, I mean, even like, and then with Pete Carroll, like Andy Reid got more votes than Pete Carroll.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
What are we doing, people?
Yeah,
What? I'm sorry, but why? It's completely insane. The comeback player of the year was Geno Smith. Saquon Barkley was another nominee for that, as well as Christian McCaffrey. Right decision on this one, Charlie?
yes, definitely. I think Smith definitely had a larger comeback than either of the other two, and I do think he was the most deserving of that award, with maybe a little bit of Seattle bias.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably deserving. I mean, not to count out what McCaffrey did this year, which was amazing. I mean, but McCaffrey did is something that we always knew that he was capable of. The only question mark was staying healthy, and I do wonder whether this was the new norm for McCaffrey or a fluke. I hope it's the new norm for him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then Saquon Barkley, kind of the same thing, and then also the job Brian Dable did on the entire Giants team and Barkley too. Like he's a great coach.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think that a candidate that did also get snubbed was Daniel Jones.
Fair,
He had a great
completely
year.
fair. And you can look at some other people too. What about Jalen Hurts? There were questions coming into this season whether he should still be the starting quarterback, Charlie.
Well, yeah, but it really did work out.
Yeah. Um, yeah, just a lot of deserving candidates. In terms of the players of the year from offense, it went to Justin Jefferson. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I think that's deserved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite understand why, if they have Mahomes as MVP, why he's not also the offensive player of the year. Kind of just me, but I think oftentimes awards voters kind of think of this as somebody besides a quarterback, which is fair.
Yeah, which is often what it ends up being.
And if you want to know someone besides a quarterback, look no further than Justin Jefferson. What a year.
I mean, he was the only non-quarterback to be nominated for MVP.
Yeah. I want to see him in the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to happen while he's on the Vikings.
Yeah,
Um,
it
yeah.
won't. They need a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. In terms of the defensive player of the year, that was Nick Bosa, Charlie. Deserved?
I would say yes, but I think Jones for the Chiefs was pretty close too.
Yeah, as well as Micah Parsons also. They caught
Yeah, as well as Parsons as well. But
Hassan Reddick also finished up near the top. Well as Jets player Quentin Williams. Jets have a good defense. We'll get to Sauce Gardner in a minute.
and
Um,
it's now time for the rookie of the year for both offense and defense.
yeah, so they both went to the Jets. We'll start with offensive. It was Garrett Wilson. Finishing just behind him was Kenneth Walker. What did you think about this one?
I disagree with that one. I think Walker had the better season.
Yeah. I think that Walker also had the better season. I think that if Purdy had played the entire season,
It
then
would have
this
no doubt been Purdy.
is just no doubt been Purdy, but he only played like what was it, like 7 regular season games? I don't even think it
And
was
he's
that many.
already like really injured,
He's already really injured, and we'll see what that means for him next year, of course. But yeah,
which we'll get to later, by the way.
I think that Kenneth Walker um, should have won this award. On the defensive side, I think that Sauce Gardner was probably the right call. Obviously, Seahawk, Tariq Woolen in there. He came in third. Aiden Hutchinson came in second for that. What did you think?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think Hutchinson and Woolen just didn't quite do enough. Admittedly, Woolen with 6 interceptions is definitely impressive.
Tied for the league lead, not just among rookies, league lead.
But I do think it was close. But I do think Sauce Gardner is better.
Yeah, the Sauce is amazing. And like we mentioned, the Jets, that defense is going to be good for a long time, Charlie.
Now all they need to do is find a quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers? Question mark.
Maybe.
By the way, before we get to the last couple of awards here, Derek Carr is epic. He has he has informed the Las Vegas Raiders that that he since he has a no trade clause that he will not accept a trade, which means that either they have to release him and get nothing or are on the hook for paying him $40 million.
Yeah, I think. What do you think they're gonna do about that?
I don't know what the Raiders are gonna do, but I love what Derek Carr just did because frankly, what the Raiders did to him was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, then them basically thinking that they had any sort of leverage in this situation was completely wrong. They have
So where
not.
do where do you think he's gonna go?
I'll say this, which is that there's a lot of teams that could do with the quarterback of his caliber. And by the way, one of those teams is the Raiders.
Yeah, but I think they would rather get their quarterback in the draft. Honestly.
They don't have a good enough pick to get a good quarterback in the draft, though, Charlie.
I mean, yeah, that is a problem, but the question is, do they want Derek Carr, and does Derek Carr want to be there?
I'll tell you that Derek Carr does not want to be there. That much has uh, been made very, very clear by Derek Carr. If they just decide to keep him, I would bet you that he just doesn't even show up to camp in August.
So, Jared Stidham time.
Jarrett Stidham time.
So I feel
Oh
like we're
man.
starting. We're starting to flood into predictions for next year. So do you just want to go through the divisions and
Uh,
see where go from there?
um, sure, but after we get through it, just a couple more of these awards. There's the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, which went to Dak Prescott. I think was very well deserved, Charlie.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Pro Football Hall of Fame class. What do you think about this class? Rondé Barber, Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, Demarcus Ware, Don Coyle, Chuck Howley, and Joe Klecko, and Ken Riley.
I think those are all deserving candidates. I think they did a good job.
Yeah. And then assistant coach of the year is D'Amico Ryans for the 49ers, who is he leaving the 49ers, Charlie?
I think
Oh,
he is.
I believe he's going to be the Texans head coach, I believe.
Yes, he's replacing Levy Smith.
Yeah, replacing Lovie Smith, who they, at least in my opinion, wrongfully fired.
Wrongfully fired because he lost them the number one overall pick.
Fair. But yeah,
The
sure.
Texans, the only team that can fail at failing.
Sure. Let's kind of go through the divisions and just the conference in general for next season because it's going to be another. I think it's going to be another great season. Just in terms of where the NFL's at right now, I feel like.
I mean, what a chaotic season this last one was, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Start in the NFC. Let's start in the NFC East. How about?
Who you got? Let's start from fourth and go to the top. I'm saying fourth in this division still the Commanders.
I
I like
mean,
what they're building.
yes, but here's the problem. I like what they're building too, but it feels like they're going to be locked out for a while.
Yes, definitely. Unless the NFL moves something around, adds some teams or stuff, the Commanders are kind of stuck.
Yeah, and also, who's the quarterback going to be next year?
Heineke, I think,
I mean, that's not necessarily
which
bad.
he's played well.
He has. Has he played well enough to be the starting quarterback on a team that wants to be a top caliber team in the NFL, though? I don't think so.
I
It's
would
also going to be
argue.
interesting with the Commanders to see what whoever their new owner wants to do with that
Yeah,
team.
that's the. I mean, yeah. Do they? What do you think they're gonna do? They need it. They definitely need a new stadium. So, is there a possibility of them actually leaving Washington?
I don't. Well, I mean, are they currently in Washington, like, or are they in Maryland?
I don't actually know.
I don't know. I don't. I don't know what their stadium situation is. It all depends on who buys them and whether they actually care about the team or whether they care about their own financial interests more.
Money.
Money's a powerful figure.
All right. So, who you got? Who you got in third?
I want to say the Cowboys so badly, but I
I am.
can't.
I am gonna say the
It's still
Cowboys.
the Giants.
I mean, if we're looking at trajectories, the Cowboys have a downward trajectory and the Giants have an upward trajectory.
Do the Cowboys have a downward trajectory though? I mean, we
Yes.
think that they're probably just going to go try to do the same thing that they've done every other year, which is just buy players like and hope that something sticks and they're able to get past the divisional round of the playoffs. Spoiler alert, they can't.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but also I trust the Giants more than I trust the Cowboys. Some
Um
something's brewing
I
in New York.
no, I trust the Cowboys more not in terms of like actually winning like anything meaningful, but in just like I feel like the Cowboys are a very consistent franchise. I mean, they're not consistent in what they want to be consistent at, but they're very consistent.
Yeah, I think the key for the Giants to do anything is they have to have Daniel Jones have a good season, which that's the big question mark.
That's the big question. And I think that I mean, we know that he's capable of it.
And if he does, I think they will get second, and I just no one's gonna stop Philly in
I
that
don't
division.
see how you can take down Philly in that division.
For now, unless they lose something in the offseason, I don't think that you can stop them from winning that division.
Yeah, I mean, It does. It depends on a lot of various things. In the NFC North, can anyone dethrone the Vikings atop that division? I think Charlie, it's
Easily,
very
yes,
clear
the
that the
Lions.
Bears are still at the bottom.
The Lions are going to win that division.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. They're
Will
building
the
something
Vikings be
great. They have
close?
a great defense. Jared Goff's come out of nowhere. St. Brown's looked good. Williams in the backfield was amazing. I think that they could win their division.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I think it's close. I think that them and the Vikings will still both be good teams. I do have question marks though about what do the Vikings want to do this offseason as they prepare for next year, Charlie.
Yeah, well, I mean, the question is where can they improve considering what their cap space is and where they already need to re-sign players.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then are the Bears actually shoo-ins for the bottom of their division? It doesn't feel like they can make the playoffs, but
The
could the Packers, depending on one specific player, potentially plummet to the very bottom of that division?
I mean, have we seen enough of Jordan Love to say that he's a bad quarterback?
Have we seen enough of him to suggest that he is a good quarterback?
No, but I
He's
mean,
got he's
we
gotten
have we
no.
have a team that's building around something that needs a quarterback, and we have a team that has a quarterback and absolutely nothing else.
Yes, but the team that's building around something that needs a quarterback, right? It's not clear to me. We Jordan Love's just literally been sitting on the bench his entire NFL career. We have no clue what he is. We have no clue if he's the type of player that he still would have been that he would have been in year one because he's gotten no reps, and it's not good for a quarterback to just get no reps.
But I mean, looking at this, if you have a team like say Indianapolis,
Yeah,
they could try to land Rodgers. The Packers could get that early draft pick, and they could get a rookie quarterback.
yeah,
I think if Green Bay decides to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, which I do believe is the good decision for them, they can draft a rookie round one, and they'll be set for the future.
but do they want to do that? I still think that they want to go to Jordan Love. It's just not clear to me that Jordan Love is anything really. And I mean, I'm not saying that he's not, but I can't say that he is either. We haven't seen him do anything.
Well, and that's the big question. What will he do?
Yeah.
The other big
Um,
question is Minnesota really as good as their record was this year?
I mean, they won most games by single digits? Probably not.
I mean, look at it. They got flattened in a couple of those games. They got annihilated by the Cowboys. They
They
got
could not
embarrassed
keep
by
up
the
with the league's
Packers at one
best
point.
teams.
What?
They could not keep up with the league's best teams.
Yeah, and I think it's going to happen again this year. And I think the Lions are going to manage to, by like one game, win that division.
Yeah, well, no, it makes me wonder if the Vikings are smart enough to realize that maybe it's just time to shut everything down.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably get some for Kirk Cousins. They could get a ton for Justin Jefferson.
Do you understand how the effect that getting rid of Justin Jefferson would have on the fan base, though?
Oh, everyone would be extraordinarily mad at that.
That feels like a player that like you have to keep, and like a player that you could start a rebuild around.
Yeah, starting the rebuild around Justin Jefferson. The Vikings, do they have any young talent though? Is the question. Other than Jefferson.
Um, no, they don't.
Yeah, that's their main problem.
Yeah, no, it's true. Let's
And
move
of
on to
course,
the
you have a quarterback who can't play on Monday
let's move on to
or
the NFC.
Thursday.
Yeah, let's move on to the NFC South. Uh,
Does it? Do they even matter
I'm one of them gets to go to the playoffs, and anything
to
can
get
happen
first
in the
rounded
playoffs.
immediately?
Well, anything can happen in the playoffs. Let's start with this very basic question, Charlie. Who will be the best quarterback in the NFC South in 2023?
I mean, let's run through this. I
The
mean,
Falcons are probably going to start Desmond Ritter, who I actually like long term, but he's not there now.
I gotta say, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the best quarterback in that division is Sam Darnold.
It's true. It is true.
I think that Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in that division because
But
I
I'm not
don't know
even sure
what
he's
the
going to
Saints
start
are
for the
doing.
Panthers.
I don't know what the Saints are doing.
No
Who
one knows what the Saints are doing.
who is Tampa's quarterback right now?
I don't know, but the problem is they have a lot of weapons around whoever it is, and
Here, I'm
they're
gonna
going to
look
have
it up because I
nobody to
have
throw
no
to them,
idea.
and they're going to have nobody to throw to them, and they're not going to be happy.
Kyle Trask.
They're going to demand getting traded this offseason, right?
They might.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
And the Buccaneers don't have a great position in the draft either.
No, I feel like that'll be a really interesting decision. Oh, sorry, a very interesting division to watch this offseason. I still feel like the ceiling for that division, though, is one team in the playoffs as the 4 seed that gets first rounded.
Yes, I agree. We'll have to see what draft and free agency brings. But I think the other big question mark is what Andy Dalton's doing and Taysom Hill.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Taysom Hill can play like basically every single position at this point.
yeah, no, pretty much. Um, Moving on to the NFC West.
I mean,
I
we
feel
know who the bottom of that division is.
it's the Cardinals.
Short man play Call of Duty.
Do we even know what the Cardinals' plan is? Do we? Actually, sorry. Let me revise that question. Do we know if the Cardinals have a plan?
No, they don't.
Have they hired a head coach yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Is it
It's.
possible to have a team not be able to exist? I think they should just like suspend their operations for
I
like
don't
5
know.
years like the Browns did.
So right here's the thing. Everyone got upset last offseason with Kyler Murray's homework clause, right? And then they ultimately got rid of it. But my opinion is like, why? That's clearly a problem. So like, sure, I get getting upset because that's terrible PR. That's like the worst possible PR.
Yeah, you just shot yourself in the foot PR wise, but it was needed.
But it was needed, and right, if if you feel the need to put a homework clause in your alleged star quarterback's contract, that's an immediate red flag. Why did you
Yeah,
sign
I
him in
mean,
the first place?
we need to stop him going on IR every single time a new update drops.
No, you're stuck with him for the foreseeable future. What's your plan? What was your plan? Just how are you this dumb?
Yeah, but also the Rams also exist, and they're bad too.
Are they that bad though, or is it more of an injury thing that could be fixed this offseason?
They won a Super Bowl and then promptly absolutely exploded.
Yes.
Clearly, Jalen Ramsey doesn't have it anymore. Aaron Donald didn't have a great year, and their offense died.
Well, but that's what's gonna happen when Cooper Cup and Matthew Stafford both go on IR for basically the whole season. What did you think was gonna happen? I mean, and it's not really their fault, but they just had the season ruined, and that could potentially ruin that franchise's future.
It really could. I understand injuries are unfortunate, but you even if you're one of the top teams in the league, you have to be able to battle through that and still be able to play well. And even in the games that they were healthy, they didn't look very good.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Um,
I mean, they were like 1-5 when Cup got injured, I think, or something like that.
yeah. Um, the top of this division is really interesting though, because we've got the Seahawks and the 49ers, and these are kind of my thoughts, which is the Seahawks are on their way up at the moment. They've got some glaring issues, but they're on their way up.
Like offensive
Defense,
line,
offensive line,
D line.
and whether you can sign Geno Smith again or whether you're going to have to go out and get a quarterback in the draft.
I think we'll
Um,
be able to re-sign Smith.
I think so too, but uh, the 49ers, though, they're going to still be great next year, but they have a glaring hole. What's your plan at quarterback? I mean, we saw some great quarterback play from them this year, but we have no clue what they're actually going to do because I think Garoppolo is probably out of the picture. but then you have Purdy who played amazing. You have Lance who you're still trying to build a franchise around, even though he's given you nothing so far. Right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
what do you do?
yeah, I mean that's the question. I mean, they have a lot of people on that. They've especially in terms of their quarterbacks. Garoppolo's probably not going to be there. Lance is Lance still hurt?
I don't know. He might be
I
healthy.
believe Lance is still hurt,
He'll be. I think
and
he'll be healthy
beyond
by
that,
the beginning of the
Purdy's hurt.
season. I mean, he has 6 months to recover.
Yeah, and then the other question is, can they keep this really big team that they have together? They're going to lose people.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's true. But I mean, they're gonna rely on their defense next year, and can they repeat being as good as defense as they were this year? Because let's be clear, they were dominant on defense.
Oh yeah, they were. Um, just looking at it, they're going to lose a couple guys on defense. Not really too much, but yeah, it's going to be difficult over the next few years keeping this big team together.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of key pieces on that team, and losing any one of them would really hurt them.
Yeah, they especially have some guys in their secondary who are up for pretty big contracts this year.
Yeah, so I have the 49ers winning that division, but it could be interesting.
Yeah, I do think Seattle's going to make the playoffs again.
I mean, but there's so many teams that you could say that about, right? Because we'll put it this way: there's 6 playoff spots open, right? Because one's going to go to the NFC South, and whoever it is going to be like 7 and 10, and doesn't deserve a spot, right?
But I mean, like looking at this, the
So
Eagles are going to get it
I mean,
probably.
it's going to be 3 teams from the East, probably. It's going to be a
I
team. It's going to be a team from the West and a team from the North, and then there's one other spot. It could go to the Seahawks. It could go to the Vikings. I don't know. There's a
But I
lot
mean,
of
like looking
possibilities.
at it, I don't think the Commanders can do it. I don't think the Packers can do it. I think the Lions will do it.
Yeah.
But the question is, if they win their division, we don't know how good the Vikings are going to be. The Vikings might not be able to do it.
Well, no, that's the thing about doing this literally 2 hours after the Super Bowl ended, Charlie, is
There's
that
a lot of unknowns.
there's a lot of unknowns, which kind of makes the entire exercise pointless, but it's still fun. It's
Yeah,
fun to
so let's do the
contemplate.
let's do the AFC now.
Yeah, let's start with the East. I can't see the Bills losing that division, but
Yeah, I can't either, but I think it's going to be closer than it was this year.
well, and then there's the rest of that division, and you have 3 teams that are probably going to be pretty good. I mean, I see the Patriots finishing in 4th, but there's not going to be
Do
bad.
you?
They're not going to be bad.
You have them finishing last?
Who would you have finishing last?
The Dolphins.
Why?
Because if their quarterback is getting injured every 5 seconds, and that's a real concern.
It is.
I
Do you
mean,
think
Mac
that,
Jones
what do you
didn't
think?
get
Do you think
injured at
that they move
all.
away from Tua this offseason?
I mean, do you think they will?
I don't know.
I don't think they will, but yeah, it's gonna be super close. I think the Patriots are gonna definitely improve. I think the Jets are gonna improve, depending on who they have at QB. Unless they have Zach Wilson, obviously, then they will finish dead last.
Well, that I feel like is like the only real question mark for the Jets. If they get a good quarterback, they're a scary team.
They are really, yeah. They could even
And-
challenge maybe some of the top teams
Yeah.
because they have
I
a
mean, I still
ton
think
of
that the
young
Bills are the
talent.
class of that division, though, and I'm going to keep saying that until someone can dethrone them.
All right, let's go to the South now.
Hey,
Who's dead
it's
last for you?
what? Who's dead last in that division?
Yep.
You see, this division's fascinating, right? Because you've got 2 teams in this division who have top 5 picks in the draft. So, but I feel like it's got to be the Colts because they don't have a plan. The Texans, it seems, have a plan, and
The Texans have an
The
idea
Texans were
and they have something to build on.
yeah, no. Well, no, the Texans were put into a really unfortunate situation that was not really their fault because they had Deshaun Watson not really aware of all of the allegations against him. They had to move away from that, but right, the Texans were actually committed to winning, and they
They
had a
were.
plan. It got disrupted, so they got forced into this unfortunate situation. The Colts, on the other hand, are just a nightmare.
Jeff Saturday.
Have they hired a coach?
I don't think so.
There's 3 teams have hired a head coach: the Texans, the Panthers, and someone else. Oh, the Broncos, and maybe another team also. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna look through everything that we've talked about on our podcast so far this year, because we've definitely talked about head coaching hires.
Yeah, but then looking at the rest of that division, do you trust Tennessee at all?
No, I don't.
So you got Jacksonville.
It's got to be Jacksonville.
Jacksonville actually looks pretty good.
No, and Jacksonville's gonna be better. But they've showed that they could do it. Then they're yeah. They're just
Here's a question for you.
yeah.
In terms of next season, is Trevor Lawrence a top 10 quarterback?
Yes. Let's see. Well, so who might be higher is right. Whenever I hear that question asked, and anybody says no to someone being a top 10 quarterback, I ask them who's higher.
I
Okay,
mean,
so I'll name the quarterbacks:
Allen.
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts.
I would
Herbert's higher. I still think
Herbert's
he's higher
higher.
than
I think if Wilson figures out how to throw again, he's better.
he won't. In Rogers is maybe better.
Borderline, maybe.
Maybe. Purdy.
Yeah, he's top 10.
I mean, regardless, no matter how you slice it, I don't see
Prescott.
how he's not top 10.
I mean, you got Prescott as well.
Lawrence is better than Prescott.
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
a take for you.
Lawrence is better than Prescott.
I mean, they have
And
a
Lawrence has more of a future than Prescott.
they have a good core to build around. Travis Etienne looked really good.
Yeah. No.
Their
Yeah,
their
so yeah, I
defense
believe
looks
that
really good.
so I believe that the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Texans are the only 3 teams to hire a head coach this offseason.
All right, let's look at the North now.
Yeah, the North. I mean, it's still the Bengals, right?
By a lot.
Yeah. Well, so the Steelers, I like what the Steelers are building right now.
Pickens
I
and
think
Pickett.
I don't think that they'll be there next season. I think that they're on the verge, but I still think that this year won't quite get them there. But Mike Tomlin is still really impressed me what he's been able to do. And
Are the Steelers a playoff team?
it's borderline. I mean, I have them at second in the division because, first of all, no one knows what the Browns are doing, and it's going to be a disaster.
I mean, also it's the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, what are
Really
they
doesn't
ever
matter.
doing?
Yeah, and then are the Ravens going to lose Jackson?
If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm really hoping that the answer to that is yes.
Really? You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want Lamar as your quarterback?
We'll put it this way. If a player is unwilling to play unless they get an extension, then I don't want them playing for me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Because if they actually cared about something other than the money aspect of it, then they would be playing even without the extension.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, if I'm the Ravens, I'm not bringing him back. If I'm a Ravens fan, I know that there's going to be a lot of outrage among Ravens fans if he's not brought back. But if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm really hoping that he's not brought back.
So, and of course, the Ravens wouldn't trade him in the AFC. So, where do you think he could go?
He's a free agent, right? But they could use their franchise tag on him, I believe.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities there. It's confusing. And then there's the AFC West, which is fascinating to me. We've talked a little bit about the Raiders earlier. They're a nightmare. They have no clue what they're doing. Derek Carr just made things infinitely harder for them, and good for him, frankly. Then there's I mean, the Chiefs. I still don't see how they lose the division. I think that Charlie's gone. So we're gonna try to get him back here in a minute, but yeah, I don't see how the Chiefs are lose that division. The Chargers. The Chargers, think, are still right where they were this season. They're going to have a very similar season. They need their biggest problem, honestly, Charlie. I think is. Are you back, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
back. Sorry,
I think that the
I was.
Chargers' biggest problem is their head coach.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
Yeah. Um. So I still got the Chiefs winning that division, and then the Broncos are a question mark. I mean, we know that Sean Payton's a good head coach, but I mean,
But is he good enough to fix
he basically said
Russell Wilson?
no, he basically said to the people asking him about what changes he's going to make to Russell Wilson. He's gonna, like, I'm going to coach him like Pete Carroll. Yeah, no, duh, you're going to coach him like you coached Pete Carroll, like Pete Carroll coached him, because that worked. But I also don't think it's just a Hackett problem. I think that it's a Russell problem, and not just uh not just like his actual on the field play, what he does off the field to prepare.
Yeah, I agree, but I do think it's the Chiefs' division to win.
Yeah. Speaking of Russell Wilson, really quickly, and we were talking about Walter Payton Man of the Year a little while ago. He won that award in 2020, in part because of his charity.
Which is now under fire.
That's putting it mildly. It should possibly be under criminal investigation.
Oopsies.
Because when only what was it? When only 26, I think,
I
percent
thought it
of
was
the money,
23.
or maybe whatever it was, whenever roughly 25% of the money from your charity is going to charity, then there's a
That's
problem.
bad.
That's really bad.
And I think also probably illegal.
I don't know. Well, it depends on what if you say that like 80% of it's going to charity, then obviously that's fraud. I don't know what it actually said though.
A
But,
portion of it does probably. I'll check.
well, and I mean, obviously, all charities, some money goes to the executives, right? That's how they fund themselves.
Well, yeah.
But it should not be 75% of it.
Oh no, most definitely it shouldn't.
Yeah. But back to looking at next season, I feel like the Chiefs, Charlie, they've got to be the favorites in to come out of the AFC. I mean, the Bills, I still think, I don't know what went wrong, but it feels like they're not in as good shape now as they were at this time last year.
Well, what about Cincinnati?
I mean, Cincinnati, that's another good team that's very capable of doing it, but
They were one really stupid penalty, one really stupid call away.
yes, but also the one thing I've learned is that betting against Patrick Mahomes is a bad idea.
It is. But also we can also look at some of these long shots. Like if the Jets get a quarterback, they're going to be really good. Can the Chiefs keep what they have together?
I think that the answer to the second part of that is yes. The Chiefs can probably keep what they have together.
Yeah. I think they can. Who you got winning the Super Bowl next year?
I mean, like I said a minute ago, it's difficult to bet against Mahomes. It's also really difficult to go back to back.
It is. How many teams have done that?
Not many.
I think like 3.
It's not many. There's so many teams I could pick is the thing. I'm not going to pick the Bills. I'm probably not going to pick anyone in the NFC. You know what? Give me the Bengals next year. Give me the Cincinnati
You're
Bengals
taking Burrow
to win the Super Bowl. And am I going to regret that? Yes. Will that change a million times before the season starts?
undoubtedly.
Yes. But I don't know. Speaking of which, Charlie, Chiefs will of course play that opening kickoff game next season.
Who do
Against
they play?
Against somebody. I think it's September 8th, maybe. No, I think earlier than that. Sometime around there. Their 2023 opponents. That game will of course be at home. So if you look at their opponents, got the Broncos at home, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Bills, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bears, the Lions, and the Eagles.
So I think looking at this, I don't think it's going to be Buffalo, considering Buffalo played in the opening game last year.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be anywhere in their division because I just don't think that makes sense. I think it's going to be Cincinnati.
I think that the obvious one you just missed,
Who?
the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't think that they would do that. I don't think they would have a Super Bowl rematch week 1.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's very rare that we get a Super Bowl rematch next season, right?
Yeah.
Very rare. Um, you want that game going to as many people as possible. When do you put it? Do you put it as just like some random Sunday night game in the middle of the season in
I would
like
put it as the first.
November?
I would have it if it was the NFL. I would have it I would have it the last game of the season, Sunday Night Football, Week 18.
But the last weekend of the season is always reserved for a divisional game.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, I guess you have to put it in week 1 then.
I mean, you could obviously choose like some random Sunday night football game in November,
Thanksgiving.
November or whatever. I don't think that they will do it on Thanksgiving. I mean, honestly, it doesn't even give it the attention it deserved because it it's not for the Thanksgiving games. It's not especially highly rated. It's
It's the Cowboys winning and the Lions getting obliterated usually.
Chris Collinsworth always takes that week off, so like you're gonna have like Tony Dungy calling that game, and no one wants to see that,
Nope.
especially for a Super Bowl rematch. So
Yep. And also, I
I'm
think I think the thing that we have completely missed in this entire conversation is here comes baseball.
can I talk for a minute about the week that the city of Phoenix just had, Charlie?
Yes. Go ahead.
Their week started with Kevin Durant coming to their city, and then they had a golf tournament, a major PGA Tour event this weekend in Phoenix. They had the Super Bowl, and now, like starting today, players are starting to report to spring training in that area.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Give me a week in Seattle that's like that.
I mean, we have the All-Star game.
What else do we have that week in sports?
I mean, looking
Nothing.
at but I mean, looking at
Literally
this year,
nothing.
but look at this year. This year we have the Kraken who are going to make the playoffs most likely.
Yep.
We have a baseball team who for the first time in like 20 years is actually functional.
Yep.
We have a good football team. We have the All-Star game and the Winter Classic for NHL.
Technically 2024, but in the next year.
This is a good time to be a Seattle sports fan.
It is. It is.
And we
I
will see you guys tomorrow.
Well, Tuesday. Um yeah, that will we've been on here a while, a lot longer than we planned, but that'll wrap up this special CNC Talks live Super Bowl recap. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Of course, our normal episode coming out, episode 7, season 2. Our plan is to release that Tuesday morning.
Unless I forget again.
Unless Charlie forgets that we're taping an episode again, like happened last week, which is why we
3 weeks
released
in a row. Let's
on Wednesday.
go.
But yeah, planning on releasing that Tuesday morning at our normal time. Then we will be on a hiatus the following week, I believe. But well, yeah, make sure that you tune in Tuesday. There's a lot to go over in the news. More spy balloons, of course, or
My favorite.
other unidentified flying objects. It's starting to get really concerning. So yeah, tune
And
in
of
for that.
course, we'll mention the Super Bowl there as well.
Yeah, you can find us on cctalks.net or at CC Talks Podcast on Twitter. Of course, also you can call in with your questions, 360-389-2630. Again, that's 360-389-2630. Thanks for watching. this CNC Talks live stream. I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie. See you on
Next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.